So to begin our Earth Science unit, we are going to look at our Earth and how it is created, what it looks like, and the different landforms that are part of it. You guys should all know the crust, the mantle, and the core, the three parts of the Earth. But when you look at those, they're actually separated into different subcategories, like the inner core and the outer core. We are going to focus on the crust. The crust has the lithosphere, which is the land, what we can stand on. When you look outside, you see the lithosphere. And then the hydrosphere, which is the water part of our Earth. And you guys should know that the Earth is a huge percentage of water. There's a lot of water on our Earth. And so that's very important. Underneath that hydrosphere is more lithosphere, which is right there. So we're going to look at landforms. We are used to seeing some of these landforms, like the plains and rivers and lakes, but we're not really used to seeing mountains and glaciers and volcanoes and peninsulas and stuff like that. Well, that's because these different landforms are on different parts of the world, and it just kind of depends on what happened in the past to that area of land. So you won't see a lot of these all in the same place, like on this picture. This picture isn't very realistic. So we're going to start off with the basic. You guys should know the four oceans: Pacific, Atlantic, Indian, and Arctic. A sea is basically a large body of water that is enclosed by land. So the Caribbean, the Red Sea, those are all different types of seas. The prairie, I don't even need to tell you guys that. You can just look out your window and see the prairie. We're right there with North Dakota. Plateaus are basically like a mountain with the head chopped off, so it is really flat on the top. Mountains, you guys should know what mountains are. Glaciers are large masses of ice or snow that are in the mountains. We'll talk about volcanoes. Islands are really important. Islands are basically a mass of land, a chunk of the lithosphere that's in the middle of the hydrosphere. So just out there floating in the middle of, think of it like a floaty, pretty much. A giant chunk of land. And the only way you can get away from it is to fly or to swim or to take some kind of boat or something. A peninsula those are pretty cool. Think about Florida when you think about a peninsula. Basically, there's only one section that touches land. All three sides around it touch water. So this is land. These all are surrounded by water. So it's almost an island, but not quite. It's hanging on by a thread. A gulf is basically a large section of water that's enclosed by mostly land. So this is the Gulf of Mexico. There's land all around it, but it still is connected to the ocean. A delta is kind of like a fork in the river. So that's where the river changes into many different rivers. Think about like the Mississippi River. A strait is a narrow channel of water that joins two larger bodies of water. And a cape is a point or a head of land projecting into the water. This is Cape Cod in Massachusetts. Rivers are natural water. They're not salt water. They're fresh, and they usually have a very strong current. They're known for currents, and they also flow in one direction usually. This image is the Amazon River, which is the largest river. Valleys are basically between mountains or hills, and you can kind of tell by the little divot between the two. Some people live in valleys. Sometimes valleys can be dangerous because of the water flow, which we'll talk about. A fjord is like a sea, but it's between these steep cliffs. Fjords are very, very beautiful. They're common in Norway. Glaciers, we talked about that in a second. It's a huge mass of ice, but it is actually flowing. Think about it like frozen water flowing down. It flows very slowly. In fact, we actually had glaciers flow on top of North Dakota a long time ago. We're used to buttes. Buttes are like giant hills, pretty much. You can see Bear Butte in South Dakota, right there. A mesa is kind of like a big plateau. It's like a cliff. Canyons, caves, lakes, swamps, freshwater swamps and saltwater swamps, deserts. And that's about all that we need to know.